We're back here at Washington Hall, historic Washington Hall, with Big DAMO. Welcome back to DEFY, my friend. And so today, we just announced a partnership with Progress. They're merging brands. And I'm curious because you are very familiar with Progress. That's like your home promotion back home. Tell us a little bit about, what this means, Progress and DEFY coming together, in your opinion.
Well, one of the coolest parts, since I returned to the independents, is getting to come to places like DEFY and Progress, right? Because they got sick crowds, amazing rosters. And then when I kind of started knowing that there was a little bit of an association between the two, which was for me fantastic because, I like coming here and I love going there. So when I found out that they were going to be merging today, I'd heard a couple of little things in the grapevine, but I think it's really good for business. Like, we've now effectively developed maybe the first international super indie, because we've got the effective UK brand really with Progress and a super effective American brand here in DEFY. So sky's the limit really. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do over in Philadelphia in April. So It's going to be interesting to see the two of them work together. And I know they've got a few things up their sleeve, shall we say, for the rest of the year. So yeah, for me personally, it's fantastic because I love being here. I love being in Seattle. I love being in Washington Hall. This is incredible. And if it means myself and maybe my Sanity tag team partner get to come here a couple of times, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely, man. So are you still living in Florida?
Oh, indeed. So I've been there now. It'll be 8 years by the end of this year. Time flies. But I kind of split my time between Florida and Glasgow, which is where my wife is from. So we do our best to try and get home as much as possible, and that leaves me there able to do some work over in Europe. So it works out great for me. Get to see my family and get to do some work over there. So it's been very good. Did
you get used to Florida? Did you like it?
I'm literally sweating right now, and it's 33 degrees or something. So, am I used to Florida? So I learned the hard way to like Florida. I was in Seattle in 2018 on a SmackDown tour, and it was minus 10 or minus 20 degrees. It was covered in snow. I came out of the airport about a mile and a half outside of the airport. I burst a tire. I had to change that tire in whatever degrees that was one of the most bizarre experiences of my life. And since then, I was like, Florida's pretty sweet. Yeah. So I've learned to love Florida. There's times where, yes, it's very sticky and everything else, but you get used to it as much as you possibly can. And it's been, I kind of hide from the sun as much as possible, but I do walk my dog out when I have to, so, but yeah, no, I've learned to love Florida, I think that's the best way I can put it.
Let's talk about your dog. What's your dog's name? What kind of dog you got?
So I have a little rescue, a Chihuahua Terrier mix, Princess, Princess Sabrina, yeah, and she's covered in pink, so he's got a big pink harness and everything else, and I'm walking her and everything, but nobody says anything to me, so no, she's been really good. My wife and I have been wanting to adopt a dog for a long time. We've always but we'll be wrestling and everything else, whereas now we made a conscientious decision to try and make things work, and we've done our very best. And the dog, it feels like we've had the doggy for 10 years, and she's only been with us 6 months. So, but it's been an awesome challenge for both of us in a cool way.
Your wife's a wrestler.
She is indeed. My wife is Nikki Cross, WWE. So
we talked about that last time. That's amazing.
She's an amazing woman, and we've been together. This will be our 16th year. So
awesome! Congratulations.
Thank you. We literally got married 5 years ago, 2 weeks ago. There we go. So yeah, we had a fun celebration. We went to wrestling training together. So yeah, that's how boring we are.
Have you guys ever faced off on the indies together, or faced off or?
We have teamed a bunch of times, even before Sanity. We teamed in an intergender tag match against Piper Niven and Grado. It was one of the funniest matches I've ever been in. And we did a couple of 6-man tags, and I think that's about it. We never... Oh, no, sorry. Tell a lie. I wrestled during our first ever match, actually. Wow. Yeah, that was 2008. So that was a long time ago.
Yes. Okay, man. So... your time in WWE, coming off of WWE, what did you take from that experience that you've been able to kind of use in your arsenal when you went back to the grind of traveling all over and wrestling?
That's a great question. I think honestly, when I was on my way up, trying to get to WWE, it was more about trying to hit my spots and you know, have videos ready to get myself as much exposure as possible. So sometimes you would sacrifice the story for the move. Whereas coming out of WWE, I'm like, I get much more of a response worrying about the story and worrying about does it make sense, you know, the psychology. And it's something that like 10 years ago, I wouldn't believe that this is the guy, you know, talking, but 100%. And I learned that like the hard way, because I'd be doing all this crazy stuff and getting like golf claps, and I'm like, oh God, I must be doing something wrong. And you know, that's what it was on the way up. Though sometimes the crowd would be really behind you in like places like Progress and ICW and whatever. But then I'd go to like town shows, whatever, you know, family audiences, and I'm doing all my cool stuff, and people are just like, and what? You know what I mean? And the realization that, you know, we're not here for ourselves, we're here for the fans. And that I learned that more in WWE than anywhere else, because it's very story driven. You're effectively a character in their play or in their soap opera, as opposed to the indies. You know, you're the main character in your own play. You know, so it was very interesting going into a different mindset and like getting to learn from people who'd been in television for 20, 30 years, 40 years was incredible. Like and you know, there's a lot of experiences that I had. So much fun. I had some of the best rosters on the planet that I was a part of. You know, whether it was NXT or SmackDown or whatever else, but some of the matches I had were nuts, and I, you know, got to travel the world with my wife, with Axel, who's become one of my best friends, with EY, who's probably the most exceptional leader I could have asked for. So, like, my WWE experience was a lot of fun, but like more importantly, like taking away like the moments matter, and like having that in my head now when we're planning matches, whether it's a multi-man like tonight, Defy, whether it's a heavy story driven, you know, one-on-one, or it's tag matches, anything else. My first question nowadays is, what's the story? And I never used to think like that.
So we know a lot about your wrestling. You and your wife are both wrestlers. Outside of wrestling, what do you guys like to do? Are you guys a fan of music? Do you guys like big TV shows? Are you guys into, you know, any other kind of sports? What are you guys into?
So I'm a massive soccer nut. I've been a soccer fan since I literally had conscious thought. I literally saw photos when I was back in Ireland last Christmas. I saw photos from when I was 3-4 years old wearing soccer jerseys and everything. And I saw a video of myself playing soccer when I was 6 years old and stuff. So yeah, like that was, you know, a massive pastime of mine. I watch Manchester United religiously. My parents met in Manchester. You know, we spent a lot of time in Manchester, so it became like just a part of my brain, I guess. So it just seemed like the natural transition to become a Manchester United fan. They're a bit of a terrible team these days, so it's kind of the bane of my existence at times. But I've actually recently got Nikki into football. We've been watching Orlando Pride in Orlando, which has been a lot of fun. But like she's and she would watch the World Cup with me, which is pretty cool. But she was never really into football. You were either one way or the other, pretty much in the UK. Like you were either all in or you did not like it. So, sure. And she was in it more in the don't like it camp, but we're kind of slowly getting her into it. But yeah, other than that, you know, love music. We've done our best since COVID. We kind of noticed that we were like not going to places and going to gigs and stuff like that. But we've actually made a big effort in this last couple of years to try and get to gigs, and you know, a variety of stuff. It just really depends, you know, like who's playing and whatever. Go to comedians and stuff as well. So, like, but for years, like we'd just been like, oh, we'll just relax because we're going wrestling, whatever. And then we realized we're just getting old, but we're getting better. We're getting better. But recently, we in our downtime we've started watching Survivor, of all things.
Okay.
Never was into it at all, but for some reason we're both obsessed with it. We're like on season 3 or something at the minute, and it's one of the most bizarre things that neither of us ever expected to like, and yet we're absolutely obsessed. But yeah, I was never a reality TV guy at all, but for some reason in the last year I've got really into it. So. Wow.
Next up is going to be like Kardashians. You're going to be into.
Nikki's into that kind of thing. I'm definitely not.
Fair enough.
I get enough reality with soccer. I think that's my key.
So with you know, the grind of traveling for wrestling and stuff, how are you able to, you know, get your meals prepared? Do you do meal prep, or is there places like on the road that are like constant? So are you like a Chipotle guy? You know, where do you eat on the road?
So like I love cooking, and it was actually COVID kind of really helped me explore my love of that, which has really helped, and it's helped both of us because like we found ourselves in a not in a funk, but you were continually going out and stuff like that, and the realization that you're not really enjoying the food a lot of the time. So we've like got to explore cooking, and it's been a lot of fun actually. So we cook a lot for each other. Well, I'm saying each other. I cook for me and Nikki. So I'm the chef pretty much. She did cook last week, so it's important that I say that publicly. So generally we'll do that, but on the road and stuff like that, it just depends. So like you said, Chipotle, places like that, anywhere that rice and chicken that hasn't been genetically modified is generally my go-to. I'm laughably allergic to a lot of the meat and stuff in America, so I have to be very picky about where I go to. So just years of living in different countries, and there's different rules and everything else. So I've had to learn kind of the hard way what I can't stomach, but I've gotten better in the last few years of figuring out like what I need to do and where I can eat and everything else. But generally, like when I can cook for myself, I do, and that's been one of the fun parts. Especially when I'm in the UK. Generally, if we're staying with family or even we've got a little flat there in Glasgow, then we're always able to cook for ourselves, and that makes a massive difference. Whereas, a few years ago we'd be going to hotels and things like that. You'd be eating out. You're probably I'll have the fries, whatever. Sure. I'm trying not to be that guy anymore. Yeah. But yeah, it's been fun like since COVID to really get into the cooking, and like that's the one positive I think from our lives. Yeah.
Man, so do you dig coming back to Seattle for DEFY though? You like this the environment here in Washington Hall?
Absolutely. Like my wife and I actually came to Seattle for a holiday a few years ago, so we quite like it here. Like there's a really good vibe here. The fact that there's this kick-ass wrestling promotion with like that crowd tonight, like is insane. I don't know how else to describe it. It feels like 2015 or something, or 2017 NXT, like that kind of like real energy. And every time I've came back here, they give us, if not more each time. I don't even know how it's possible. Yeah. So you guys have got something really special here, and that's why I'm so delighted to see like Progress is teaming up with them, because I just feel there's similar energy between both companies, and I'm very excited for the future. Like, I mean, you heard it tonight. Like, as we're speaking, they're losing their mind right now. If they can't hear it, they're losing their mind over what. And I don't even know who's in the ring right now. It's awesome. But like that's one of the cool things about this place. It's like it feels like wrestling should be. People here to enjoy themselves. Like, this is so funny. I get so few social media interactions through DEFY's fans, whereas other places I'll go to in America or in the UK, whatever, you'll get more interactions after the match online than you will, like. Sure. People in the audience, whereas here it's the complete opposite, and I love it that way. Like it feels like the pure part of wrestling, and everybody in that locker room is so excited to go out into that ring. And it's like, I can't say it's like that everywhere. Sometimes it might feel like a job. Sure. It doesn't feel like a job in DEFY. It feels like a vacation, a holiday, whatever.
Yeah. I get to do this. Not
100%. It's why I loved it. You initially love it for the sport, maybe you love it for the story, but that interaction, like it's you can't fake it, and that's the craziest thing. And like I haven't been here for 6 months or whatever it was, and they welcomed me as if I was one of theirs, and that's very humbling, very humbling.
That's awesome, man. So, you've wrestled some incredible people over the years. If you could, dead or alive, who would you want a dream match with?
Oh, shit. Oh my God, that's tough. So obviously my hero is Fit Finlay. Made me realize that I can do this. I can be a professional wrestler from Northern Ireland because he did it. Now my goal was to try and be like a quarter as good as him. So hopefully I got close, but to be able to, to follow his footsteps is massive. So I'd love to. I nearly had a chance to wrestle him in 2011. It never came together. But himself, maybe Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest of all time. So incredible. Steve Austin, obviously, Yeah. I've been very blessed that I've wrestled a lot of my contemporaries who I was obsessed with, like Shinsuke Nakamura, Tanahashi, Samoa Joe, like all these people who I was watching. Daniel Bryan, I got to wrestle all these guys, and I was very blessed that I managed to. Outside of that would be Undertaker, people like that who, just have a very different way, awesome just so different in ring. And like, I got to spend a week with him. He came in and did some training at NXT. And I wish I'd had him in my first week in NXT and not one of my final weeks in NXT, but I still, being able to have that opportunity. And just to tell a very quick story, Daba Kato was a 7-foot Polish wrestler. He's fantastic, but he was really struggling to maybe piece it together. And I had a match with him. It didn't go great. We got to spend that week with Undertaker, and we knew exactly how to plan a match now, how to have a story together. We got really lucky. We had it literally the week after Taker was there, and the match was night and day. Like, sometimes just having a different set of eyes can completely change your mindset, and that really helped a lot. And I wish like we'd maybe had a couple more opportunities, especially a lot of the bigger lads, to learn. Like, my God, like if Omos had more time with Taker and stuff like that, but obviously like he had his own career to worry about and stuff like that. But to have more chances with Taker would have been brilliant for a lot of the guys, and even the smaller lads and everything else, to know how to work a guy that size. So, but for me personally, that was one of the best experiences. So a match with Taker would have been insane, because the way he was moving, the way he was selling was like blowing my mind. You know what I mean? And he would have been an incredible person to get in the ring there with,
When a guy like Taker comes down to NXT to help train, does he take a liking and kind of a specialized like look at the big guys to kind of help them, maybe wrestle like a big guy?
Yes and no. I mean, like, he treated everybody the same, which was very cool. And like, whether somebody, it was their first day, like I think it was like Top Dollar's first day or something, or it was like, people like myself who'd been there 5 years or whatever, he was just even with all of us, and then he sat and watched tape with us, which was very cool. Like, I actually wrestled Kushida, and he watched my match with Kushida, and it was one of those like, Undertaker's watching my match, and it's nuts. And like, he was very complimentary, and I'm just sitting there going, how the hell am I getting and it was the same when I'm watching tape with Shawn Michaels and stuff. You're just like, how is this my life? So it was really good. Like, and he was very good, like, more with the selling part of it, like even like hitting a strike on the cell and things, just stuff that like nobody was really able to teach, because there's nobody like him. You know what I mean? So so like for Dabakato, who he's now Babatunde, or Baba Thunder, actually I think he is now in the Indies. He was able to take that with him, and for his next step, he'll always have Taker in the back of his mind, which is incredible. And it's just, you would hope that we were very lucky. We had Scott Hall a bunch of times come in, which was great, and he really helped Damian Priest. Because I think Damian Priest is one of the biggest success stories of that group of NXT guys, because he came in similar to the mindset I was talking about, about the chasing the pops as opposed to telling the story. He worked a lot with Scott Hall, and he just suddenly got it, and he's just went from strength to strength. He's still doing the cool moves and everything else, but now it's the way he structured it. And that was one of the coolest parts about NXT, is you'd have people. And for me, it was getting to train with Fit Finlay was just like, for That's me, awesome. Like I love the nitty gritty part of wrestling. I love like the believability. I love like the way like he tears somebody apart. I just love that, and that like really speaks to me, obviously emotionally and mentally, because there's just so much about his game that I loved. So I got very lucky. A lot of people you got to learn from, but yeah, all of those guys, I want to wrestle all of them.
Nice. Okay.
Hopefully, thankfully none of them are dead. Which is even better.
All right, man. So my last question for you, dude. I asked this to everyone. Show us if you can, but at least tell us. Pick a scar on your body. Show us if you can, but at least tell us the story of how you got it.
I'm gonna have to give you a stupid one, because all my other ones are in places I can't really show. No problem. So I've got a crazy scar here in my hand. So if the camera can see this, I don't know if you can, right? I have this really stupid scar. My second day of wrestling training, right? Okay. I was really trying to get fast to get to work. I was working at a bar in Edinburgh in Scotland, right? And I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to get this meat together. It's frozen together. It's okay. I'll take this giant knife, and I'll separate the meat patties from each other. I went right through my hand. Oh. I still cooked the meat. Right? Okay. I still cooked the meat. Piss and blood out of my hand. I tried to patch it up. I went to work, opened the first bottle of wine, and fucking pissed everywhere. I went to accident and emergency for 9 hours.
Oh, God damn.
So that was not quite a wrestling story. I was just late getting back from wrestling training, and and then did a stupid thing. So yeah, not technically a wrestling injury, but definitely a dumb injury. Yeah. I'm the king of dumb.
Well, thanks for breaking down a little bit of the importance of the Progress and DEFY merger, and for chatting with us, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Big Damo. It's Defiance Ones.